one.
Hello, you guys. Welcome to the Little King.
Hello.
Damn! I got it up. Hey, I'm sorry.
You
do
have
a little
a
dance.
real serious professional
I
person
do not.
here today.
I
She
know.
literally wrote the book on something serious. And
I
you're
know.
going to dance.
I am going to dance. I'm sorry. You know, you guys, it's not normal that I beat Winona doing anything narcissistic. So let me just take a moment to appreciate this. I'm Jade, by the way. I am not big-headed. Stop it.
Okay.
Stop it. I am humble. I am humble.
Go for it. You were saying you were Jade.
I am Jade. And this person sitting next to me is Winona.
No, let me introduce myself. I am Winona. And she took my...
I can't. I have to lean back to my chair.
I want to say this. Because I want to say it for myself. It is the woman cave. See the logo? Yes. Okay. I still got to say it. So anyway, let me stop.
As I lean back in my chair.
I'm saying serious and I'm sticking out.
Yes, you're sticking out tongue at me. Winona, I can't. Let's be serious. Okay. Get it together. Professional. Bring it in.
Nah.
Okay.
We're now professional. Go ahead.
And we wrote these lovely books, the And I Thought series and the Misfit Guide series. Well, it's not really a series yet, but it will be coming soon. Well,
book two. The Misfit Guides up.
No one's gonna do it.
No one's moving.
Excuse me. We're trying to be professional. And I thought divorce was bad with other life lessons. And I thought being grown up was easy. And I thought I could juggle it all. And I thought I did my journey alone. It's coming. And I thought I had it all figured out. Episode 1, a fiction.
Hollywood, I do need this as a TV script. And I do have my own reality show, but I need my own
docu-series.
We are being my own TV scripted. So I'm sorry.
And I thought he was the one. And I thought the workbook.
Hold on. There we go.
And congratulations to us, you guys. I had to say to us. We are finalists for Poet of the Year. So congratulations to Jade, which is me. And I guess I'll congratulate Winona. Handshake.
Chop well done.
Okay. All right. All of these books and everything is available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and AndWeThought.com. Excuse me. Wait, I'm not done. Why I'm trying to be professional. Okay. And our conference has passed for this year, the Inspirational Women in Literature. But you guys, look forward to it next year. It'll be out, and check us out on our docuseries, Just Writing Life's Channel 18, Sacramento, California, and Amazon.com. Okay. Now you good? Everything's good? All right.
No, I'm not good.
Wait.
I'm not good.
Wait, we have a wonderful...
No, I'm not good. Ow.
Oh, okay. Amy, what the 25 hottest? We have the editors of the 25 hottest.
There you go.
Okay.
Now I'm good.
We have a wonderful guest today in our studio. She literally wrote the book on memoirs, you guys. So take it away. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I wrote one of several kind of books on memoir and creative nonfiction. This one, my new book, When History is Personal, is a combination of writing my story, things that matter to me, but in trying to connect it then to the larger issues. So that, for example, there's a piece about living on my street, which is full of history. And so it's about the history you can see and you can't see. But on my street, about 60 years ago, Einstein was hanging out and having coffee at the neighbor's corner. And on my street was the first school of higher education for women in New Jersey. And now it's a 2-family house with an apartment. And and that closed, incidentally, after 12 years. So it never got to be, it was supposed to be the sister school of Princeton. And on the cover of the book here is 4 years that I lived in New Jersey's first planned integrated community in New Jersey. And there's a nice story to the cover, is that it was a very special, close-knit community. And all of these kids here, this is in the 1960s, and there's a story in my book about living there and lifelong friendships I made there. And the editors chose it, and they said, could you get the permission of the people in the book? There were kids here, and they're now in their late 50s and 60s. And I said, really? You know, how am I going to get that? And they said, well, try. And I called up the father of this little boy, and within 24 hours, I had the permissions of all of the 8 kids, because that's the kind of community it is. They knew where everyone was. Someone was in California, someone was in Boston. And this little girl here, I had a nice chat with, lives in my old house. So this is a really great example of history being personal. So it's both my story, the friends I made, the things I learned living in this community, and it's also about the larger issue of racism, of how hard it was. One of my friends, and his picture is in the book, talks about how hard it was to get housing in '57 until he came to this community and got it. So, and this community is still going strong, which is really nice. So that's another of the stories, but there's another of being a juror in Trent, really crazy trial that I tried to get out of, and that I discovered in that 3 days what democracy was all about. So all of the pieces here are both personal, and they're also looking at the larger issues of racism, of anti-Semitism, of assimilation. My parents came from Germany, and I was going to be an American, about end-of-life issues. So there are a lot of different issues, and the rule of thumb for each of these pieces is that they both be about me and about the world I live in. And one of the things that I think about memoir is that you don't have to be famous or infamous or climb Mount Everest or have this great trauma. But if you write about the world that you live in, as well as your own connection to it, you're always interesting because people want to know that. And so I'm very much for that. And I also think that in our age, which is so highly polarized, and people only listen to the people who they agree with, that memoir puts a face on political issues. And my hope is, for this book, is that people who may not agree with me will keep reading, because it is my story told to look and connect to the larger story. So that's my push on memoir, why everybody should be writing it.
Okay, see, now I'm almost thinking about writing a memoir. Actually, I'm not, because Winona will ghostwrite that thing for me.
If you take, for example, the living on the history, your street, wherever you live, if you live in a farm in Iowa, if you live, in Princeton, where I live, if you live in a town in North Dakota, wherever you are, there's a history there.
Yeah, true.
And when you connect yourself, how do I fit in to this history? It's interesting, right? And other people will want to know about it. So I think everybody should figure out and write about the street that they live on. Who was there before them? How do they connect to them?
I agree.
That might be in the next Misfit guys, you guys. It might be like a little page about the street. Just letting you know now.
Her street is going to be connected to a bar.
No, it's not. It's not connected to a bar.
But who's there?
Mean.
I had to get you back from earlier.
Oh.
Anyway, let's go to real questions. I have the real question of, first of all, how do you find the balance between what is personal and what the greater issue is for the world? How do you find that balance? How do you not make it, minimized almost down to a magnifying glass kind of way? How do you find it?
Right. Well, I think I first write for myself. I put something down that matters to me. I actually just wrote, it's right on my desk here, there's a little book called Cash, and inside was a ledger of numbers that my husband, who passed away 6 years ago, and a friend wrote. And I started writing about this. I didn't know what was going to come, and suddenly it's about how much should I throw away this book? Why do I keep it? I'm trying to get rid of stuff in my house. I can't throw it away easily because it has a history. And so the small little thing that I started writing about this book suddenly became also the larger story of downsizing, of how do you throw away things that connect to your memories and to your history. So I think first I write for myself, and then I think once I have something down on the page, Natalie Coos has a wonderful saying, no one cares but your mama unless you make them care. And so the second part of it is trying to figure out, well, what is a larger story? How does this little black book or anything else connect to something that other people will connect to? And I sometimes find that it's the small things that really make the difference. So that in my other book, Thoughts from a Queen Size Bed, which is about life in a long marriage, I had a piece about, with my husband, we would argue whether to open the window or close the window because I liked it cold, he liked it warmer. And so there was a whole piece on that. And after the first reading, this woman comes up and she says, "Oh, I so connected to that. I just totally got that. That happens to me all the time." And I thought she was another long married from New Jersey. And she has the book, and she says, "Make it out to Sister Irene from Ireland." So here it is, this woman who has an entirely different life, an entirely different continent, and she relates to opening the window, how much you open it and close it, because she connects with her roommate who she has the same issue with. So I think that's what memoir does. It allows us to find the common ground, right?
It explains, as the title, and I thought I did my journey alone. Our title is talking about, we just started going around and recognizing that we all are human and we have the same experience, maybe in a different way, but we could be like, oh yeah, that happens to me. Like when we go on tour, Kay loves the cold and we can't stand it cold, and so we always have that argument.
Do you see this face?
That face.
That's my Kay's going to share the room with me face. I'm sorry.
Okay, you guys, you know we love her, but we hate cold.
So you would have your own story of how much to keep the window open, right?
Oh, we have stories about that.
We have stories.
But, I love the point that you said that in such a polarized time that it kind of puts a face on each person. And, you know, I think as a writer, sometimes you walk around, and as a writer, we kind of recognize that each person has a story, and we kind of invent one sometimes. I don't know, maybe you don't. But you see a person and you see what they wear and how they're walking that day, and you kind of almost immediately go, oh, they must have had a good day and this is why, or they must have had a bad day and this is why. I mean, but you go out and actually find that story. How do you find it?
I just throw around. These stories interesting, I think. And again, I think especially it connects to a larger story. But I think that there's a wonderful thing that I use in memoir when you're trying to not write fiction, where you can dress anyone and give a life to anyone you want. But in memoir, there's something called perhapsing, so that you can say anything you want. If you see someone walking down the street and you imagine a story that connects somehow to you, you say, perhaps she did this, or perhaps she did that, or perhaps she did this. And it's still telling a true story. You're not saying she is this or she is that. That would be fiction. But your memoir is always from the point of view of the person telling it. And so I'm not saying this is what everybody believes. I'm saying this is how I experience the world, and other people want to know it because I'm not making a general statement. That's why I think even in a polarized world, you can tell your story about hot political topics, and people who may be on the other side of that topic will still listen, and maybe they'll learn something that will make them more understanding. Whether it's, I have another piece in this book about end of life issues, because on the day that my husband died, we ran into a whole big thing with living wills and a hospitalist. And so it's issues that I wrote about that are highly personal, but I also wanted other people to know, so that if they ran into a similar situation, they would know about it. So it's my story, but it's also telling the larger story. And it was all true. I didn't have to make it up. You don't have to make up life. It's complicated enough.
Oh, you're not.
You're not lying. You are not lying. But actually, we're at the end.
No, I only asked two.
Well, I asked some. So we are literally at the end. Oh my word. She knows I'm the timekeeper. Oh my word. Anyway, the last and final question: where can people find you on the internet, or maybe in bookstores?
I'm in bookstores. You can go to Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, or IndieBound for my books. But I have a website called schwartz.net, and there you can read about me. You can click on ordering any of my books. I have 7 of them. I think 4 or 5 are still in print, and you can order them there. and read some of my essays. I've got a lot of essays that are out there, and some of them are their links there. And I'm doing a lot of workshops and giving a lot of readings. As a matter of fact, this Tuesday, New Yorkers, we're going to be reading at the Cornelia Street Cafe on this coming Tuesday at 6 o'clock. But I'll be doing a number of things, and that's all listed on my website, including the memoir workshops. If you guys want to come up and join.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I think I'm going to have to drive to Jersey. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Ms. Schwartz. We really appreciate it. And you guys, you can find out anything that your ladies are doing on andwethought.com.
I have a side note.
Yes.
This figure means I have a side note. Please, you guys, could you please support the charities that we support, because they do wonderful work. And you can go to the ladies page at andwethought.com. Go down to the middle, I believe it is now.
It is the middle. We're doing some innovation to our website. Yay!
They got a promotion from the bottom of the page to the middle of the page. And just click on the pictures and they'll take you to the links and show you what work they do. And please support them with some donations. I mean, we love supporting them, but we love when others do too.
Wonderful.
We thank you in advance for all of that, you guys. And just remember that wisdom is all around you if
we're open to finding it and accepting it. Peace and love, you guys, from Winona. And who got her nails done, by the way.
But it looked horrible. And Jade. Bye-bye.